This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
I want to tell you about our newest sponsor, Team Top Cat Sales. Are you looking for team apparel for your high school, your club sports team, or corporation? Look no further than Top Cat Sales, located on the east side of Main Street in downtown Royal Oak, between 11 and 12 Mile. Through founder and former University of Michigan QB John Wangler's leadership, Top Cat Sales has developed a tradition of selling and distributing custom Adidas team apparel with the highest quality and best service. Get your organization, school, or club team all in with Adidas today by going to TopCatTeamSales.com. That's TopCatTeamSales.com. Also, follow Top Cat on Twitter at Team Top Cat.
Hey everybody, this is Freddie Cohen of ESPN Radio. When I'm not talking about breaking news or breaking news on ESPN Radio, I'm always a fan and listen to the Detroit Sports Podcast, and so should you.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to another episode on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Joining me, my cousin, Adam the Jock Strozinski.
I am Smack Talker Skywalker, and I got a Mike Saber for a hater.
I love that drop, dude.
I know you know who those guys are.
I do.
I watch Raw.
I absolutely love that.
I know you watch Raw, and I watched these guys from NXT, and these guys, Enzo and Cass, were so awesome. I've listened to all their rants and raves, and
I love that dude's mic skills. He's incredible. I remember I was watching them on Raw, and I got so jacked. And the wife's like, come on, we got to go to bed. I got to wake up early. And I'm like, I don't really want to go to bed right now. I want to finish watching this. Dude, those guys got me so amped. I loved
Bada
it.
boom! Realest guys in the room! How you doing?
I love it.
dude, they've been going through the circuit NXT now for a couple years, and when they come out, it's always a good time. And I'm just so thrilled to hear what he said, dude. The rips that he made on the Dudley Boys was out of this world.
Yep.
Dude, that was funny.
So funny, dude.
So get you jacked up, ready to go, and it's all good.
Their mic skills are incredible.
They're gonna, and just for that, in wrestling, you got to be able to perform in the ring. But if you have limited skills, if you can get on the mic and talk like that, they're above fray. They're different.
Dude, the entire crowd was just going with them everywhere they went. The crowd was right there with them every step of the way. It was
Are
great.
we weird that we caught Monday Night Raw, which the ratings after WrestleMania are always higher than actually watching the college basketball national title game? It ended up being one of the great classic second halves of all time with that finish, and neither of us spent more than 5 minutes watching it.
You know what? I checked out from the NCAA tournament after day 2. Like, honestly, it became a very difficult watch for me. When the championship game was basically, when the teams were decided, I was like, all right, do I watch this? Do I not watch this? And I was like, you probably should watch this because this is actual real sports, not wrestling. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to watch wrestling. I'm going to do this for myself. I ended up watching wrestling. I enjoyed wrestling. I thought it was good. I checked in on the game and I watched, and it was, I think, 9 minutes left. Villanova was leading 53 to, 47. And I was like, oh, okay, Villanova's winning. I was like, all right, that's cool. No big deal. And I just kind of kept it moving. I just wasn't into the tournament at all. And it turns out it was a great game. The very next day, I was kicking myself in the butt. I was like, you missed one of the best games ever because you wanted to watch wrestling. You've got issues, bro.
Yeah, I don't feel guilty because I'm a big wrestling fan. And if you don't tune in, if you just watch WrestleMania and the night after, the crowds are all hardcore fans. They're in the know. Sometimes the crowd after Raw tries to hijack the show and cheers for bad guys and boos good guys, and they just have a wild time. So it's a fun show. That's why it's highly rated. But the biggest news from the NCAA title game was stupid people in office meetings don't understand that if you move the game from CBS to cable, you're going to lose an audience. But I think they were probably surprised.
That was a huge issue because I sat there and when I initially went to go check what channel the game was on, I went to 62, which is
Everyone
CBS.
does.
And it wasn't there. It wasn't on CBS. So I was like, oh, what's going on here? So it took me 3-4 minutes to figure out which channel it was on. And then when I did figure out which channel it was, I got the Villanova stream, and then I got the North Carolina stream, and I was like, what the hell is this? I don't want to watch any of this.
Just give us the national feed on one place on TV that everybody watches. Listen, I don't know if these people in the boardrooms know, but everyone's kind of figured out how to get into stuff for free. I mean, most people don't want to pay $120 for cable anymore when you can figure out maybe if your cousin has cable, you get a Roku stick for $50 and you got channels galore. Or you're trying to rewire stuff or try to, just go Netflix or Amazon or Hulu only. people are cutting ESPN left and right. That's why they're cutting staffers left and right, because they've paid so much money for the rights to host all these sports that, the revenue's not coming in because people are cutting their subscriptions. So these people in the boardrooms got to loosen their ties and figure out, hey, man, keep it simple. Put the national title game on CBS. Everyone's going to watch it. Last year, you had over 25 million people watching it. This year, around 17 million. Now, it's a lot of people, but 10 to 15% drop-off is huge. So it's going to come back, and I don't see that. I don't see bigger games going on, cable that much more in terms of at least college basketball. You can't do that. I don't understand how these people make a living in their field, and they don't realize that people are cutting cable left and right. It's really ridiculous.
It's silly. The thing is, when you do things, I understand that money plays a huge factor, but it always has to make sense over dollars. You can't just do things just for profit. There has to be some continuity there, some common sense. Before we actually get this thing kicked off here, we got a jam-packed show. We're going to touch on some Red Wings. We're going to touch on some Pistons. We're going to have a discussion with our Detroit Podcast Listener Challenge NCAA Bracket winner. We're going to have Tyler on. We're going to discuss his bracket, the way he picked it out, and get a little bit of maybe some help
some
for a
advice.
Guy like me, because I did horrible in every single one of these that I did this year. And, of course, we're going to talk about your Tigers. But before we get the show kicked off, I do want to give a huge congratulatory shout-out to my buddy, to actually my friends, the Cranes, Brian and Jamie. Late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, baby Noah Jeffrey Crane was born.
Oh, baby
baby
Noah. Awesome.
Looks just like Brian, face and all. I can't wait to take this kid to his first strip club, help him put some dollars in some G-strings. It's going to be awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, big congratulations. I know you have a lot of great close friends, and it's a nice opportunity for you to shout them out. And even places across the sea, overseas, we'll get a chance to hear it. So
That's
congrats
right.
to your friend, and very nice.
Good
Very
job, Craner.
Good job, brother.
Way not to screw that up, buddy. Got it in the right hole.
Early advice, make her get up. Just saying.
You know what? I think that's probably how it's going to be, because she gets 3 months leave. So he'll be probably going back to work here after this weekend, and she'll probably be on mommy duties where she's got to get up and feed the baby.
Before we start talking about the Tigers, the best part about us is we're so opposite. Not only, I'm a State guy, you're a Michigan supporter, you're a DirecTV guy. I'm a Dish Network guy.
I am a DirecTV guy. We are so opposite.
You are in the wrong. I have to tell you, Dish Network is the best. When they have all these contract disputes, they give you like free months of HBO, Showtime, Cinemax. They treat you good. I've been with them for about 16 years. Prices are very fair. Lots of great HD programming. I got into HD because of Dish. I was like, okay, I got to do this. I'm going to step out, maybe 8 years ago now. I got to step out into the mold and watch HD. I could actually still remember the first time I saw what I saw on TV in HD. I was like, wow, this is cool. Now, the next wave is, which is still a little bit out of my price range, though, is the new, 4K or whatever it is,
Yeah.
3K, 4K with these wide TVs. I go in there and I'm like, oh my God, dude, how do I not pull out my credit card? I want to get a TV and put it on. I'm thinking of how I was going to look in the office with a 4K TV watching sporting events, but still a little bit pricey.
I've got 4K on my laptop, and it's really great for watching videos and movies that are high def. It is absolutely atrocious. If anything is below 760, if it's below 760,
so you're saying some of the
awful.
some of the sites that aren't up to that level yet, it makes it all skewed.
It's bad because you have so many more pixels, so everything just kind of looks. It's not clear. It's not good at all. But if you get something that's 1080 or higher, whatever, dude, it's amazing.
You should switch to Dish.
Oh, you know what? I'm not really opposed to it. At this point, I've been with DirecTV now for, I think, probably something close to 12 years and maybe a little bit longer. And I'm not happy with my service. My bill has gone up. The reason I ended up leaving Comcast was because every time I turned around, my bill would almost double. And at one point, I was paying over $115 to Comcast. I was like, screw it. I'll go to DirecTV. I'll pay them whatever they want because I can't stand Comcast, and I hated Comcast customer service. I ended up going to DirecTV. I fell in love with them for probably the first 7 years, 8 years. Now that AT&T bought them, my service is atrocious.
Have you ever pulled I'm going to call up and threaten to cancel?
Oh,
see
yeah.
if they...
I've done that a couple times, and they ended up knocking some money off my bill for a couple months, and that's about it. The big issue is the service. I don't get great service from DirecTV, and I'm not real happy about it. And if I had a different cable provider in my area, because the only one I can get is Comcast, I'd probably switch to cable. I could go to Dish, kick that around a little bit, and I'm not sure if I want to do that or not. So it's just kind of where I'm at, man. I'm not happy. The thing is, hopefully I'll be moving here soon. The wife and I will possibly be looking for a house here very shortly once she finishes grad school. And once that happens, we'll move to a nicer area, and hopefully we have more options at our disposal.
As we're recording this, we've now watched the first game. It was nice to see it. I think I was thinking, man, this is like deja vu all over again. Our Twitter blew up after the first game. We had well over 400 tweets coming at us left and right regarding the course of the game, how great it was to start, and then it just really took off once the bullpen got in there. And, of course, the highs of highs and the lowest of lows with that game. And that was just game one. I was like, this is way too much for me. This is like, you know what, not taking it easy, not just having a nice 5-0 win. This is like, boom, hardcore, right back to all the issues from last year, management issues, base running mistakes, the bullpen blowing it. Luckily, our Tigers came away with the victory. I'm happy with that. But talk about all the storylines wrapped up into one baseball game.
Dude, it
nearly
was
4 hours.
It was deja vu
the hell?
all over again. It was a microcosm of what plagued this team last season. Honestly, you had Ian Kinsler, you had Jose Iglesias, both getting picked off the base paths, just doing a horrible job. I remember sitting there, I was working on something on my computer, looking up, and I started screaming at the TV. I was like, how can you get picked off like that? How? How does this happen? And my wife looked at me, she's like, calm down. I was like, no, this is BS. I was like, how does this happen? Like, this is horrible. You're a professional. You're supposed to know better. Yet, this is exactly what occurred last season. On top of that, you had Justin Verlander go out there and pitch an amazing game. Looked really good for 5 innings, a little bit sloppy there in the 6th, but he looked solid. You turn it over to your bullpen, and honestly, it's not so much the bullpen, it's really your closer. If you wear a Detroit Tiger D and you're a closer for this city and for this team, it must be ingrained somewhere. It's like one of the 10 commandments. You must suck. You must be atrocious. He went out there, Francisco Rodriguez went out onto the mound and basically set himself on fire and then rolled around in dog poop. That's what he gave us. Gave up 3 runs in a crucial 9th inning spot. And it just totally blew it. Honestly, though, that bullpen, besides Francisco Rodriguez, looked solid. Looked pretty good. I'm okay with some of the moves. K-Rod's got to figure it out.
Lowe and Justin Wilson did a great job. It was like, okay, he can kind of slot in, these guys later in the game. And okay, it was good. But Rodriguez, are you serious? It was 7-4.
It just in the 9th inning gave up
3 runs.
It was out of control. And you can blame this on Brad Ausmus if you want, but this is your brand new closer. This is the guy that you went out, you picked up, and you're paying whatever you're paying him to come in and do this job. He had a really nice spring. You're gonna ride or die with your closer in the 9th inning. That's your job. It's sad to see that we still might not have a closer. It's only game one.
And we got the victory.
And we got the victory. So that's good. The issue is he really spoiled what was a really good game for this team. Like I said, Justin Verlander looked really solid through 5 innings, a little bit sloppy in the 6th there, but otherwise, the guy looked good. He looked like he had some command, looked like he had some control, and then you turn it over to your bullpen, and now you get a no decision because your closer blew it for you.
Exactly. That's why I love doing this podcast. We go hard to the paint. Those were the negative issues right up front. But let's first talk about the first 5-inning Justin Verlander, the guy that almost had a no-hitter going. And this was a guy that was mixing up his pitches, was in command, and granted, yes, the Florida Marlins are not world beaters. They're not going to go out there and dominate too many teams. But still, they have a dangerous hitter. Stanton is awesome, and if you make a mistake versus him, Giancarlo is going to crush the baseball and just, make you pay, which he did. Verlander was also able to help the cause in that big run inning, and he got up to the bat. He got up to bat.
His third career hit, bro.
Got a
little bloop. That was nice.
It was very nice. So you got out to the lead. Ian Kinsler really showed and stepped up in that first game and demonstrated leadership.
Besides his running on the base pad, he had an incredible game.
A- game, man. It was really good. Lots of RBIs, key hits, and then you had that great 7th inning with Gose and Martinez hitting home runs to kind of extend the lead and to do some damage. So it was an okay start to the game. You now saw the bullpen. You had, I think it was Lowe first, then Wilson, and then you had a situation where, okay, you're confident. They did okay. And you got Rodriguez in there, and he was looking okay, looking solid. But then the string of hits, I don't understand.
Verhagen looked good as well. But yeah, you're right.
Is it mental more than talent? Like, is there something going on where once some hits get going, there's runners on base, the bullpen goes into here we go again. Here come all the memes. Here comes Detroit Podcast with the booty pictures. Is it something where it's mental? They need someone in there to kind of grasp the boys by the baseball and be like, listen, we aren't this bad.
I think we're overreacting a little bit here. All right.
No.
It's game one. It's game one.
No, there's something going on here.
No, but listen. It's game one. All right. First game of the season. You get out there, it's all on the line now. It's not like spring training. Spring training is a different animal. I mean, these guys are showing up. Everybody's laid back. Everybody's kicked back. Whatever happens, happens. Nobody really cares because it's spring training. You're just sitting there trying to get loose for the beginning of the season. It's now all on the line here. This is something totally different. I think that there were just maybe some first game jitters there. Maybe you weren't comfortable. Maybe that was the issue. I'm not ready to sit there and cement the tombstone over K-Rod and say that, he's the next Phil Koch when Phil Koch was self-destructing on the mound. I'm not ready for that yet. It's just game one. He had a really rough outing. Come later in the season, this might be, hopefully, this is his worst game. If we can look back on the rest of the season and say, hey, he has a little bit of an inflated ERA because he had one bad inning, the very first game of the season, I think we'll both be okay with that. And I think hopefully that's where we're at. I mean, honestly, one game, man. One game.
What was your biggest takeaway from the first game? Thing that you first look to that says, okay, thumbs up, I'm happy with what I saw?
Actually, there were a couple things. I was very happy to see Justin Verlander have command through the first 5 innings. The 6th inning, like I said, I wasn't very happy with. I think his pitch count, I think maybe Ausmus, this is maybe me nitpicking a little bit. I think Ausmus left him in a little too long. He threw 98 pitches. It's his first outing. You want to stretch these guys out a little bit slower. So if his pitch count was a little bit high, leaving the 5th inning, maybe you got to pull him then, because that 6th inning turns around, he gives up, a huge blast there, and now 3 runs are on the board. I was happy to see Justin Verlander doing what he was doing. I was happy with everybody but K-Rod in that bullpen. I was extremely happy with seeing Shane Green. Shane Green came out. He was very efficient. He looked good. He got the save, which is weird for a starter to go out there and get a save. And I really liked the power of the middle of the lineup. Miguel Cabrera really didn't do anything in that very first game, yet the middle of that lineup in the top of that order was able to put some runs on the board. The bottom of it needs a little bit of work right now, but they'll come around. I'm not worried about them, but it's good to see these guys basically in midseason form already, JD Martinez swinging the bat well, hit the ball very hard, almost hit 2 home runs that very first game. It's good to see. And like you said, Ian Kinsler looks outstanding, except when he's sitting there trying to either steal bases or trying to figure out what the hell he's got to do when he's in between first and second.
Yeah, and then you could see later in the game that there were some struggles that we saw last year in terms of the base running, some mistakes. And we understand that it happens, but late in games, you really look to things like that when you judge a team. Hey, are you going to have success at the ultimate level? Now, this is just really looking at it globally. If this team doesn't figure out proper base running, if this team doesn't figure out lock in the fundamentals, it's not going to be a successful season. Yes, you played the Marlins. I expect them to really at least come away with 2 wins. I know that their starter today is going to be very, very challenging, but this offense looks to be, if it's clicking on all cylinders, the cracks of the bat were unbelievable. JD Martinez almost hit a massive home run, ended up being, I believe, a long double, but he was mashing. He looks to be in form. You saw Victor Martinez.
Do you think he can hit 40 home runs this year?
I don't think 40. I think, again, similar, 35 to 40.
Okay.
I think he's going to be awesome. But I like the hitting. I like the offense. I like the early start to the bullpen, but I just need to see the fundamentals shirt up, and that'll make me a little bit more confident in things like that.
It's silly mistakes that hurt this team in that very first outing, and that leaves you scratching your head. It really, you're like, you should have got these things ironed out before your very first game. These are spring training errors that you make. That's why you have spring training, is to get through these things. And on top of it, they paid extra special attention to base running, and it really didn't show in that very first game.
So now, Friday, it's the party of all parties, and Vinny kind of gave insight into your guys' activities last year. He was like, my God, he thought he could hang. He was like, I went out with Adam and his crew, and he felt like he couldn't handle it. He was like, I think I'm just going to stick at work and stay professional this year. And unfortunately for a lot of us, that's going to be the case. I'm actually full of clients. I'm going to be trying to, in between clients, check in on the game and watch the opening day festivities. I'm going to take it light this year, but that's just the case for me. I'm going to be here at the office during opening day 2016, but I'm going to be cheering. I'll be cheering, heartily for everyone else that's going to have a good time. And I've been there, done it. I just got to focus on the work at the moment. What are you doing?
14 years running, buddy.
Straight through?
14 years straight through. My boss tried to put me on the schedule at least 3 times in the course of the last 2 months because I asked for this day off back in February. My boss has tried to stick me on working this day 3 times in that period. So
No way, Jose.
No, I've been able to finagle my way out of it. So I will be downtown. At this point, plans are I'll be getting up about 6:45. I'll be rounding up all the troops as after I get up here. I'll be making a run to the bank to get a couple dollar bills out. And I'll be stopping off at Tim Hortons, getting some grub for everybody. And then I'll be loading up the car, and we'll be headed downtown. We'll get a parking spot. It's supposed to be bitterly cold this year. So it could be a bonus for me, because sometimes getting into downtown is very difficult. So hopefully traffic's a little bit light because people decide to stay home. They don't want to sit there and brave the weather. We can find a nice parking spot, not pay a buttload like we had to last year. Get our spot, have a couple parking lot beers, and then bar hop from there on in. And
are you going to pace yourself? Because Vinny said you guys are going hard to the paint.
Well, here's the thing. We always pace ourselves.
Okay, good.
It's just Vinny runs at a slower pace. It's how it works, man. Yeah, no, of course, you have to pace yourself. I mean, again, 14 years running, you learn a thing or two here, you know? My sister was faded last year. My sister was like, we had to carry her places because she was done. She ended up passing out on a table at one of the bars we were at. So it's what it is. She ended up waking up and she recovered and she was able to continue on with the rest of the evening, but she had to take a nap in the middle of the day. So that happens, and that's cool. It's whatever. We'll end up at one of my favorite places, the Booby Bar, and dollar bills and G-strings, bro. That's how it always ends.
And you can't teach that.
That's right. That's right. You can't teach that.
14 years running, attending opening day. Definitely, if you see the Jock around town, maybe we'll take a couple pictures, show the people, hey, where you hanging? Let them know, shake some hands, tell them, hey, what's up? What's going down? Where you hanging?
Will do.
Okay, so it's going to be a fun time. You'll have fun, and it'll be a fun series versus the Yankees. And the opening day is just a fun time. It's the official start to the Major League Baseball season in Detroit. You know, I know it sucks sometimes when a team starts on the road. You feel like, it's not as great, especially the Tigers started so late and on the road versus Miami, so it kind of doesn't feel right. Tigers coming back this Friday. It'll be a good time. And Fanatic U always hooks us up, our sponsors, giving away opening day shirts, and they're going to be really active, involved. So look for tweets, and we always take care of our followers at Detroit Podcast. Follow along. We'll have a good old time, and I just can't wait to experience it. It's always something new every year, and hey, in the end, we want the Tigers to win the game.
Always a good time. Before we transition out of the Tigers, do you have a prediction for the season, for their wins, especially after you got a little bit of a glimpse with that first game? You got to see Justin Verlander look solid. You got to see that bullpen look a little rocky, and you got to look at this lineup look pretty strong, especially at the top.
A lot of people are going with between 80 and 85 wins. I'm going to elevate it because I'm going to be in the spirit of positivity. I know I've changed it a lot, but I've been in the range of around 85 to 90 wins through most of my predictions. So I'm going to say around 87 wins, but I don't see them being in the playoffs. I need to see more, but that's just my early predictions. I think there's a lot of question marks, and health will be key. So I got them at 87 wins, not in the postseason.
I swear to God, it was like you're reading off of what I got here. I've got them at 87 wins as well. I've been thinking about this for the last couple days now. I think 87 wins is about where they'll finish, and I think they'll be the first wild card. I do think they get in, but they're not going to win the Central. I think the Royals will probably handle that. If not the Royals, maybe the White Sox.
Ooh, I love it. We're talking baseball, and I'm really surprised that we get through that offseason between the Lions and the Tigers. This year was good. We had a lot to talk about, lots of interesting things with the Pistons and Red Wings, but I really kind of forgot what it was like to be that involved with Twitter when the baseball season started. I mean, literally, people that never messaged us. Wait, I talked about it last year, but it happened again.
The Tigers and the Lions, they just take over and dominate Twitter.
That's it.
It's those are the two teams that strike a chord with all Detroit sports fans.
And this bullpen, I mean, if you just want a couple engagements and people to look, all I do is hashtag fire Osmus. Boom, people were waiting. We're waiting for that. So I just did it right when the first base running mistake happened. All right,
such a troll.
What are you gonna do? It's not trolling. It's called seeking positive engagement when you know the people want to hear it. Give the people what they want.
That's right. That's what it is.
The Vince McMahon of the podcast.
That's right.
Right here.
You are. Does that make me Shane O'Mac?
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Stay with us. After the break, we're going to check in with the winner of the Detroit Sports Podcast Network Bracket Challenge, Tyler. Good dude. He's doing good things. I want to catch up with him and see what his career path is, what he wants to do in broadcasting, and check in and figure out how the heck did he win our challenge. Stay with us.
Doc and Jock here for Fanatic U. if you're looking for some sweet sports swag and you love your Detroit teams, and I mean you really love your Detroit teams, you got to check out fanaticu.com and get the coolest gear out there and rock your Red Wings shirt, rock your Lions shirt, rock your Piston apparel. Wear it till the wheels fall off. Michigan State, you know what? They got it too. Check out Fanaticu. They have 6 locations all over Metro Detroit. Check them out, fanaticu.com.
Yeah, we coming now. Come on. Yeah, that's right. We put it down. It's like a family in here, just a little disabled. Putting it down, we lay them out on the table. Yeah. Who's in the house? The brothers in the house. Gotta turn it on out, let you know what we about. Kinda like Cain and Abel, a bit unstable. Don't be breaking the brain, break the whole damn table.
Thanks, everyone, for sticking with us on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. So this year, everyone does NCAA brackets, and we figured, hey, we want to get the listeners involved. We got a great fan base at Detroit Podcast, so we wanted to establish a bracket challenge among the hosts and as well have a competition for the listeners. And we said, hey, if we do the challenge, the winner will have an opportunity to come on, be a guest in the podcast, and tell us what they were able to do and how they were able to fill out their bracket. Joining us, the winner of the 2016 Bracket Challenge, Tyler Norkiewicz. How you doing, Tyler? Welcome.
Thank you guys very much. I'm doing well. How about you?
Excellent. We're doing excellent. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, it's very rare. We do have a really good interaction on Twitter, but it's very rare we ever get to have somebody who follows us on Twitter on the show with us. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, that's indeed. Well, I'm Tyler Norkiewicz. I go to Specs Howard School of Media Arts for broadcasting. I'm a big sports fan. I love all the sports, basketball, baseball, football, hockey. And I love March Madness, and I was surprised I actually won you guys' bracket challenge this year, and it was what a great tournament this was. Probably one of the best I've ever watched in my lifetime, and that championship game was probably one of the best ever as well. So, yeah.
All right, so Tyler, you had a winning bracket. Tell us a little bit how you got to get those 100 points and be atop of our bracket challenge.
Well, I correctly picked 2 out of the 4 Final Four. Sadly, I picked Kansas, Michigan State, which a lot of people I saw in the bracket challenge picked Michigan State, but I actually picked North Carolina to beat Michigan State in Final Four, which worked out in my favor. I had Oklahoma and Kansas. I picked Kansas to be in the final game with North Carolina. I actually had Kansas as the overall winner, which didn't work out. But Villanova, who was the winner of this year's tournament, I had them in the Elite Eight, losing Kansas. But for me to actually win this, I needed Villanova to beat North Carolina for me to get the 100 points and be the winner out of everyone else.
So when you were sitting down to fill out your bracket, did you use any tips or tricks? Because a guy like me, mine in every single one of these challenges that I did, I just ended atrociously. I think in our listener challenge, I ended up 15th. In one that John and I participated in with our family members, I ended up 8th, and there was only like 9 people. I had another one that I competed in, and I ended up 6th out of 7. So I just totally crapped the bed here. Did you use any tips, tricks, any tips for a guy like me for next year?
Well, I use a lot of the stats that ESPN and CBS provides, like for matchups between each game. So I just picked some out of the blue, like what my mindset is for me to pick, and also if I'm more familiar with a certain team, I pick them more how the history they have, like how they've done it throughout the tournaments. I would pick, but like Villanova, I usually don't have them going farther this year. But I have them go a little farther than I did in the past, but not far enough because this year they obviously won it all. But I usually go with just the stats and overall like how they usually do throughout every year during the tournament, stuff like that.
Tyler Norkiewicz, DSPN Bracket Challenge winner, on the line with us, kind of going through his brackets, how he did this, and giving him a chance to tell the listening audience all about him. The Villanova-North Carolina game, considered one of the great games, will be talked about because of the game-winning shot. What was your reaction when you watched that final shot go in, allowing Villanova to take it all down?
I almost had came myself not to scream a little bit out loud because that was just a crazy shot to win it all. I had a feeling once he shot that three-pointer that it was just going to go just the way how the game was flowing throughout the game, going back and forth. And I also got mentioned about that shot that Bryce Johnson shot, the 3 that tied it up. And with 4 seconds left, he made that shot. I thought that game was in overtime, but Jenkins for Villanova, he made that crazy buzzer beater shot for Villanova to take it all this year.
Now, Tyler, you said you're an aspiring broadcaster. How did you develop the love, and what do you want to do with the career in broadcast journalism?
Well, growing up, I was a big sports and music fan. I watched a lot of Tigers and all the sports throughout Troy metro area, and listened to music for my whole life too, rock and roll, stuff like that. So I thought, why not use those influences to be a broadcaster? They give me, so I can use those certain music and sports for my career choice. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to do that. So my school's been going well, all that stuff. So hopefully can start somewhere soon and get that rolling for me.
What's your dream job here, Tyler?
My dream job? I love to either be on TV or radio, ESPN would be my ultimate dream job. I like radio or television. Give me started. That'd be an awesome way to start as well.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. All right, we'll let you go on this. With this being the NCAA tournament and you being the champion of the Listener Challenge, what was your overall favorite part of this tournament?
I loved a lot of the upsets this year. That we had a lot more upsets than usual, and also I love all the post-action games that like a couple bunch of games like Wisconsin by Koenig's crazy shot at the end, and the half-court shot by Northern Iowa. That was a crazy finish as well. A couple others too, but yeah, just the overall feel this was like one of the best tournaments that's ever been played.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate the chance to talk to you, and you've been a very active member on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. I see that you like our comments. You message us whenever we throw ideas out there. We can't do this without support from people like you. So an opportunity to talk to you. I hope we get a chance to maybe talk to you again, maybe meet you one day and give you an opportunity, maybe even to sit in here. You know, we like doing podcasts. We like having a good time with people that love sports, and especially if you're going to, aspire to be a broadcaster, it'll be fun one day. So I appreciate it, and I can't thank you enough for, being an active listener and follower of our project. We can't do it without guys like you, so I really appreciate it.
Tyler, tell everybody where they can follow you at.
Well, they follow me on Twitter. It's Tyler Norkiewicz, TylerNorkiewicz. I have a Facebook, the same name, and I have Instagram with Tyler_Norkiewicz. And I also appreciate if you guys have me on here. It's my first time ever being on a podcast, so it's very cool to get this experience and stuff like that. I'm a big follower of you guys, and you guys are doing great things, and keep it up, guys.
Excellent. Hey, we thank you. Again, we wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for people like you, so thank you. Thanks for keep downloading, and hopefully we can have you in studio here very soon.
Sounds great, guys. Thank you very much.
All right, take it easy. Have a good one.
Thanks, you too.
Yes, sir. Tyler Norkiewicz. Good dude. Definitely, one of the more engaged listeners and followers that we got, and I love the opportunity to actually have the challenge, and I was really pleasantly surprised with the turnout. We fared okay. Some hosts did worse than others. Some did better than others. But it was fun and competitive.
Say you fared okay.
I did okay.
I was in the bottom 3, maybe 5. I don't know. I was horrible.
Someone that sits at this table says to me all the time, "You should be more humble. You're so braggadocious. What's wrong with you?" But hell yeah, Doc did great. I was up there.
Doc did do great.
Got my money back in your bracket, which is good.
Yep.
I finished up there close second to Vito. And Vinny is in a world of his own. He did really good if he would have actually filled out and entered the bracket in the host challenge, Vinny. But he ranked up there in the listener challenge. Yeah. He did good. And so I did good, and I can tell you, I finished pretty good. I had a couple of teams in the Final Four, and I watched all of 4 minutes of the entire tournament. So it really comes down to...
It's funny that you say that, because I am the one who always tells you that you need to be more humble. And you know what? In this case, you're absolutely right.
I was.
You need to be more braggadocious right now.
Okay,
You need to beat your chest. You sat there, and you did an incredible job.
Woo, woo, woo. You know it.
In basically every challenge that I threw out there for you. And
I whooped you, and I got much better.
You whipped me all over the place.
And you can't teach that.
That's right. Absolutely.
I did good. I was happy. And really, in the end, I attribute it all to luck, not skill at all. I went with the simple philosophy of I just filled it out in 4 minutes, picked a couple upsets, didn't think about it, sent it off. That was my philosophy. Just don't overthink it. Just pick a lot of the favorites. And if I would have went with my brain, I would have dominated every challenge. I went with my heart for one time, and I was let down. I said on the podcast, if you listen, I feel like North Carolina is going to beat State in the Final Four. But then I said, okay, if I do that, and a lot of people have State, and they actually pull this one out, then I would have looked like a fool, and I would have lost. But it happens. I will ride or die with Michigan State. This time it was disappointing. In the future, in the past, it has helped. But in the future, you got to actually look at it with a grain of salt and actually really take a step back and decide when it comes to crunch time, use your brain, not your heart.
I'm like that Hooters or that Buffalo Wild Wings commercial where it's like you spent hours upon hours researching and doing this and doing that, and your bracket sucks. But Carol picked the teams where she liked the colors and the mascots, and she's dominated you. And she's like, "Oh, are you a garden tool? Because you got hosed." Yes, I got hosed. I did not do well.
And just, before we take a break, my God, Mr. Wright from Villanova, your team hits a buzzer beater. You stood there like someone got shot.
Dude, cool hand Luke, man.
What
he
was
just,
that?
Like he knew. He was like, yeah, okay.
I'm an OG, and that's just the way it's going to be.
Dude, you know what? He's one of the best dressed coaches all the time. Him and Calipari, those guys, some of the best dressed coaches out there.
Dude, I would have if that shot would have fallen, I would have ran like 5 laps already, up and down. I would have been screaming, hands in the air. Dude was cool as a cucumber, and he was actually, when you look at the clip, he was actually feeling bad for the Carolina coach. Just turns around and it was kind of like, hey, wow. He was a real OG. I was like, okay, that's how you act like you've been there before. Dude's got class, and Villanova won the tournament to many people's surprise.
Yeah, dude, amazing. His reaction was incredible, though. Like, honestly, like you said, just turns around like, hey,
It's all good.
Yeah, like, it was either you or me, and luckily it was me, not you.
All right, let's take a quick timeout, come back, and we got to visit what's going on with the Red Wings and Pistons. Let's see how they are now going to finish. Again, another devastating loss for the Pistons, and one that, it's not going to have too much ramification because of the fact that other teams are helping us out. Chicago keeps losing, and teams below us aren't actually like pushing us that much, but we still got to talk about why on earth in big games the Pistons are playing the way they are, especially on national television when they do get that opportunity. Stay with us, Wings and Pistons talk, as well as a recap of a Bleacher Report mock draft, second half of the Detroit Sports Podcast, Doc and Jock, episode 139. I want to tell everyone out there about DetroitSportsNation.com. They're a great website, and they've been very supportive to all the shows on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. They host all the podcasts. They have great writers that cover all the Detroit teams, all the college teams. Check out their website and support those who support us. DetroitSportsNation.com. The collaboration has been excellent, and it's helped us to continue to grow and have great guests take phone calls. So our collaboration with the Detroit Sports Nation has really been successful, and support those who support us. DetroitSportsNation.com. Thank you for downloading another episode on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network, Doc and Jock, episode 139. Thank you for following us and finding us across our various platforms, Podomatic, Stitcher, Podbay. Thank you to all the new people who downloaded the Vinny Stubbs Show. Want to give them credit. Team effort. We got it on the internet, and it was a good show. I laughed. That's all I can ask for.
It's very funny.
It's very funny. If you like to hear unique talents and individuals, perform raps, do funny skits, the more entertaining, less, hardcore sports version of a podcast, Vinny Stubbs Show was hilarious. I'm proud of Vinny. It took a team effort, and that's kind of what I like. We're a team here. We've kept everybody, I believe, that we've started with. We're not letting anybody go from our network. Nobody's leaving us, so that means a lot to us, and we've been going strong since September 2013, and we're sticking with the team, man. We're a team. We stick together, and so far, so good.
Absolutely. His show was interesting. We'll leave it at that. He did a very good job, though. I was very proud of him. I was like a proud papa, so he did a very good job there. And you should tip your hat a little bit. You get a little bit of credit there because you helped walk him through a lot of it, and there were some challenges there. And you both got through it, and I think you're both better people now, and I think you both have a better understanding of each other.
Maybe in a year or so, we'll release a blooper reel, and we'll put together some of the stuff that we cut out because, the best part about podcasting, and I like the fact is we get to produce it and put together what we feel is the best product out there, and that's what we try to do. That's what we pride ourselves on, and the Vinny Stubbs Show and all the other podcasts that are out on the network are well-produced. We do our best to make sure the quality is out there, and that's what we hang our head on. So, and as well as being regular guys that love talking sports and following along in a maybe not so professional manner, and that's what I like about it. We're fans. We own up to it. We follow. We cheer. We rant. We go crazy. And 5 minutes later, we're hugging and high fiving when the teams do well. But we were not definitely high fiving when the Pistons played the Heat. Go down to Miami. You think the Tigers and the Detroit Pistons will sweep because the Heat. I know they're playing very well, but the Pistons have had success this year against them. But they laid a dud. And on national television, and again, one of those games where SVG's got to come out after the game and go, my guys weren't there. They didn't put forth the effort for me. Disappointing at this point in the season why this team did that and performed at that level. But they're still in good shape. They are likely going to be in the playoffs. But the schedule they have going forward to finish out the year looks to be a little tough if they don't play that well. So that game versus Miami was frustrating for me.
Honestly, if you get out-rebounded, you turn the ball over, and you're not hitting your shots, you can't expect anything else but getting blown out. And that's exactly what happened with Miami. They went down there. They weren't cohesive enough on the defensive end. They didn't out-rebound Miami. They turned the ball over too many times, and they couldn't get shots to fall for them, especially from three-point land when they started pressing a little bit. So this is what's going to happen. This is how this team is. It's going to be very hit or miss for right now. I think what they really need to focus on, though, is they've got to shore up their defense. They're going to take on Orlando on Wednesday evening. So I think they come out. I think they play a much better defensive game against a very undermanned Orlando team. Look for that defense, again, to translate into offense, and they're going to get this ship righted right away. They had a very bad game against Miami. They're playing a back-to-back here. They're going to take on Orlando. I expect the W in Orlando, and I think it all starts on the defensive side of the ball. This team has to play good defense to be competitive. The thing is, I think they like to sometimes play a little bit too much offense, and they like to chuck the ball a little bit. If you just stick to what gets you there, play really good defense, sound fundamentals, and take advantage of your shots with some ball movement, they're going to win games.
And we're talking specifically angrily about the performance. The standings for the Pistons are still good, and I'm thankful that we get a chance to talk about magic numbers. The Pistons' magic number, as we're recording this, is 2, which means any combination of their wins or losses by the Bulls or Washington Wizards puts the Pistons in the postseason, which means if the Bulls lose their next game and the Pistons win, then we can clinch as early as Thursday, the day this podcast drops, and we could be in the postseason. So it's not all doom and gloom, but what we're talking about is fundamentally, at this point in the season, we should not be questioning effort. And I know that people will say, well, it's a young team, and this is what you're going to get sometimes. And I think we've become resigned to that fact. It's just tough to see it. It's like we wouldn't perform at that level this far along. You know, at 139 episodes in, we kind of have a flow where we know if we hear certain things or certain things happen, oh, push this button, push that button. You should hear what I did to begin the show. So you would think at some point you would mature. And you know how they say rookies aren't rookies at this point in the season? This team isn't young anymore. You're on the verge of the postseason. And I do believe if they get in, as whether it be a 7th or 8th seed, we could have some confidence if they played well, if they believed. I really believe, like, maybe they need me just to go in there and give them that rah-rah speech. Maybe SVG is really ultra-professional and isn't a rah-rah speaker guy.
Does SVG strike you as ultra-professional? He strikes me as the kind of guy to sit there and break a foot off in your butt if you're not doing your job.
But short and sweet, like, let's get this shit done, boys. Boom, out the door. I think they need someone. Maybe they need a Chauncey. They need a Big Ben to walk in there and just let them have that confidence.
Again, this goes back to things that we've talked about all season long with this team. It's just leadership. There's nobody on this team who's willing to grab somebody by the throat and say, hey, do your job. All you've got to do is do your job. You do your job, it's all going to take care of itself. Honestly, on the defensive side of the ball, the only one who really shows up more often than not is KCP. And he's the guy who's got to show up on the defensive side of the ball because he's their best defender. Everybody else is just kind of a windmill out there. They just get blown by. Again, play defense. Let that defense, which, again, we've talked about, is effort. Play defense, show some effort on that side of the court. It's going to translate into offense on the other side of the court.
And let's give the Pistons credit, man. They have weathered the storm. It was a bumpy season, and they're going to finish with at least a 500 record, their first time since 2007, 2008, I believe, and they're poised to be in the postseason. So, you know, what we're doing is we're saying, okay, what can we do? What can the Pistons do to get to that next level? And when they get to the postseason, not just be happy to be there, but hey, if they get there, I really believe that might infuse in them some confidence. And when they get there, they might actually be a team that starts to shoot effectively, plays a little bit better defense. And if they raise their intensity, hey, if you get into the postseason, all records are washed away. Whatever happened in the regular season is now over. You can take on a series versus Cleveland or Toronto and make some waves. So I want to ask you, a lot of people, we've been debating it back and forth. And I was shocked. Vinny, on his podcast and in chats with us, has said that, hey, hell no, I don't want to play Cleveland. They'll sweep our ass. And I watched you on the WXYZ webcast talking about it when I got the audio. And
some technical difficulties this year.
That was
or this week.
And I was like, no, I'm thinking that if the Pistons are going to advance, they're going to be better suited to play Cleveland, not Toronto. But Vinny went with the old adage of, hey, Toronto sucks in the postseason. They're a regular season team. And he wants to play Toronto instead of Cleveland. How do you weigh in?
You know, I think they match up a little bit better against Cleveland. The thing that scares me about Cleveland is
they got the best player in the world.
Exactly. You've got LeBron James.
Or one of.
And you've seen LeBron James dismantle a Pistons team at least once in your lifetime, and that was back in 2007 when everything was rocking and rolling for the Pistons. And next thing you know, they take on this young upstart Cleveland team that was really and truly the only good piece that it had was LeBron James. There was no talent on that team whatsoever. And LeBron James all by himself basically destroyed what was 7 years in the making for the Detroit Pistons. After that 2007 season, they really weren't a contender for anything after that. They started to dismantle that team, broke it all up, and getting back to an Eastern Conference final, good luck. At that point, LeBron James took his crown and said, hey, I'm the king. So what scares me is you're going to take on a much more talented Cleveland team with a much less talented Detroit Piston team, and you're going to go up against arguably a top 3 player in the league who still can dismantle you if and when he chooses. But I do think they match up a little bit better against Cleveland. I think once you get in Cleveland's head and you frustrate them a little bit, they tend to crumble. I don't think they're mentally strong. That being said, I don't know if the Pistons are mentally strong because it's like they're on one night, they're off another night. What you can do is you can take on a Toronto team, which is young as well. And what you now have is you have youth against youth, and you have inexperience against inexperience. And if you can frustrate Toronto enough, they'll start turning the ball over. And once you start turning the ball over and you start losing that battle, generally the team who wins the turnover battle is also winning on the defensive side of the ball. You end up winning the game. And I think Detroit has a good enough defense when they show up and they put the effort forth and they get the turnovers that they can sit there and really frustrate Toronto and start to shut them down. And once you get in their head, that series is over.
The Detroit Pistons on the verge of the postseason. They're going to be a very interesting watch and one that can give us hope going forward because of their youth and their ability to really rally and improve and gel as a unit. This is a team that is going to be watched and talked about. Maybe not so much now, but in the future, this core group looks to be in the vision of SVG, and going forward, there's a little bit more confidence than when we first started this season. Now, on the other spectrum, the Red Wings are hanging on, and it looks good going forward.
They hold all the cards, bro.
They have the cards in hand, and it's looking good that this week could be a successful week for the Red Wings. And surprising in that it's coming on the heels of an injury to Peter Mrazek, some key injuries to the defense, a lackluster effort overall in terms of their defensive unit and special teams. But Jimmy Howard and their play of late has allowed them to be in this position. So recap for everybody, what's their position and what is likely going to happen this week for the Detroit Red Wings?
At the time of recording, they are currently locked into the 3rd place in the Atlantic Division. They've got Philadelphia, which will be a tough test. That'll be going on Wednesday evening. Thursday, they go into Boston on a back-to-back. Basically, by the end of Thursday night, they could have their playoff spot locked up. They could either be a 3 seed with the possibility to take down a 2 seed because Tampa Bay has lost Steven Stamkos, and they've got a few games they've got to play yet. So if they sit there, if Tampa Bay drops their next 2 games and Detroit wins out, which will be 3 games, you've got Philadelphia, you've got Boston, and then on, I believe it's Saturday, you take on the Rangers, and you can win these games, you're going to sit there and catapult into 2nd place in the Atlantic. So at this point, Detroit holds all their cards. They're going to take on a Philadelphia team that they're battling for the wild card with.
So the game versus Philadelphia is not must win. It's important.
It's important.
But not devastatingly awful if they lose.
If they lose, it's not devastating because you can go into Boston, and if you get the win against Boston, you now have the tiebreaker. So you'll take 3rd place.
So needless to say, big couple games for the Red Wings.
Yes.
They got to play well. Are you expecting going into the game versus Philadelphia and Boston, they're going to play their best, or are we going to get a shaky group that we've seen in the past where they get out to deficits and don't play well, goaltending shaky, giving up rebounds, or are we going to see a more grizzled unit this year, a team that has confidence going into this week, act like you've been there before? And it's very interesting. The last couple seasons, when you read about it, they've earned their way in basically the last 2 weeks of the season, the last better part of, the last 2 or 3 years. So this isn't new. These guys have been through this, and I think it'll be a big accomplishment if they can get out of this week into the postseason.
This is why you pay Henrik Zetterberg and Pavel Datsyuk the money that you
Show
pay
up,
them.
darn it.
These guys have to be in these younger players' ears and telling them, look, guys, it all lays in front of us. We hold the cards to the deck, and we can pretty much do whatever we want here. I think this team comes out, and I think you see a really good effort against Philadelphia, and I think they go into Boston off a back-to-back and beat a Boston team who's not playing well right now. I think they get 4 big points, and I think they move on to take on the Rangers. And if there is a possibility for them to take 2nd place, I think they beat the Rangers. If there's not, that might be a game where you just rest a couple of your veterans. You already have your playoff seed locked up. It's not going to make a difference. Let's just get into the playoffs healthy, and let's try to make some noise. I see this team taking on 3rd place in the Atlantic. I think what's going to end up happening here is you got the Islanders who are struggling right now. They're kind of beat up. They have a lot of injuries that they're dealing with. You've got Philadelphia, who is a very tough team. They're trying to buy their way in. And you've got the Bruins, who at this point, they don't really look like they want it, which is really, really weird. I think the way it ends up shaking out, though, is Detroit takes third, Philly takes one of the wild cards, and I think that the Islanders have just enough to hang on and get a wild card as well. And Boston sitting there scratching their head saying, how did this happen? How did this happen? How did we lose this season? We're not making the playoffs again. So count on the Wings. I think, again, you get really good effort the next couple games here with a possibility to take second place in the Atlantic.
Going into the postseason, if they should get in, do they match up? I think I read against Washington, or who? What are the likely matchups that they could face?
If they take third or they take second, you would be playing Tampa Bay. If you get a final wild card position, you would then be playing Washington. You don't want to play Washington. Nope. Washington's been the hottest team in the NHL right now. But if you match up, if you get lucky enough to take on Tampa Bay, I mean, they just lost their leader, their points getter, their best forward on that team with Steven Stamkos. Absolutely, you match up against them. Their goaltending, Ben Bishop, he's a guy who's very beatable. Comes out, likes to play the puck a lot, and he doesn't make a lot of good decisions that way. So you just get pucks on net, let him sit there and try to mess around with the puck, and you just crash the net. Tuck it in behind him. You have a very good chance to sit there and move on to the second round. So they do match up well against Tampa. I don't like them matching up against Washington.
Okay, game one, NHL postseason. Detroit Red Wings will be there. Lock it down. Let's be positive.
That's right.
Who's in net?
Jimmy Howard. Jimmy Howard's got you to this point right now. When we had George Malik on from Kukla's Corner, we were sitting there talking about Peter Mrazek and that groin injury. He said, you don't have to worry about it. All the time. Whenever a goalie has a groin injury, you have to worry about it. And
yes.
that was a big question. That was something we asked him. And he said, everybody's saying don't worry about it, so don't worry about it. But it's kind of reared its ugly head, and Peter Mrazek hasn't been the same guy since then. So I think he's still dealing with some of that injury, a little bit of a lingering effect there. Jimmy Howard's got you here. You got to roll with the hot hand. Again, something that is always brought up when you talk hockey playoffs. The hot goalie can win you a Stanley Cup. Jimmy Howard's your hottest goalie right now. He's going to give you the best chance to win. Jay Howie's your netminder, man. Whether or not he lets beach balls in, it's whatever.
Oh, okay.
I know. Doesn't make you feel good, does it?
No, it does not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You want to talk about something else that doesn't make you feel good?
What's that?
This mock draft I'm looking at?
Yeah, you've provided in the recent weeks several mock drafts that have been very good to look at and very rewarding in terms of focusing on the defense, guys from Alabama, guys that could potentially help on the offensive line. But the last couple in this week, and even including Mel Kiper's draft that was released on Wednesday, very disappointing. So let's break it down. You presented, and I've really enjoyed this segment. Maybe next year we'll come up with a real effective title for it. But this is the Timothy Rapp from the Bleacher Report's mock draft. And it's pretty organized. It's very well thought out and things like that. But when you see the name 16, Detroit Lions, Laquan Treadwell, wide receiver, Ole Miss. And it's very devastating. I'm going to tell you why I hate it.
Because it's a wide receiver and it's offense?
The Lions have devoted free agent dollars to wide receiver. They've gone out and gotten two of them. And you have a wide receiver in waiting in TJ Jones that's going to need to have some touches, and he's going to need to contribute. Why go out and add another first-round talent on this team? Makes no sense.
On top of that, you just added a pass-catching running back in Stephen Ridley. So everybody's catching the ball, but you only have one ball to go around. How's this working out? And at the same time, if you look a little bit down this draft, you got guys like Jack Conklin, offensive tackle, which we've talked about. You need to build through the trenches, right? You got Darren Lee, outside linebacker, who could pay major dividends his very first season. You got Jaron Reed, D tackle. You got these guys still on the board, and these are guys that would fill major holes and major needs on this team. Let's talk about just addressing the offensive tackle. If Jack Conklin's there, might possibly be, I don't know, maybe the best. Well, I don't want to say the best because he's probably the second best offensive tackle on the board this season, right? This year for this draft. You pick up Jack Conklin, you plug him in at left tackle. He'll sit there, move Riley Reif over to right tackle. You've now addressed two positions with one, which is monster bonus, pays huge dividends. Duran Lead, like the fastest linebacker out there. You know, if something does break through, if there's a running back who sits there and catches a corner, I'm very confident that this guy will track him down and prevent touchdowns. You know, big time. Major issues last season on the defensive line. You can go get a guy like a Jaron Reed, defensive tackle from Alabama. Just plug him in. The guy's going to start for you right off rip. So there's talent out there that would make an immediate impact for positions of need on this team, yet you're going to go grab a wide receiver. I don't like this. I don't like this mock draft, but I brought it up because, again, this is something that could happen. There's a very real possibility that they may take Laquan Treadwell. On top of it, the guy doesn't run very fast. He ran, I think, a 4.63, so he's not terribly slow, but he doesn't have that top-end speed that you'd like your running back to have or your wide receiver to have. So I just, honestly, I don't like this mock draft. I don't like what Mel Kiper's thinking either. Not when there are positions of need with great talent in this draft.
That would basically signal to me that Bob Quinn has done his film work on Matthew Stafford, and he's bought into everybody else around town that goes, this guy, Matthew Stafford, needs as much help as possible. Let's load him up and see what happens. I mean, heck, you have to find ways to justify if you're going to raise your prices even more. And if you're going to throw out a whirly-dirly super offense and you're going to score a lot of points, that will put butts in the seats. So I understand that the Lions have to also address the entertaining factor of, putting a product on the field that will sell tickets, putting asses in the seats. But a pick like that is not the best for business, not the best for football. So if they make that pick, I kind of would start to think that it's more for the entertaining side, more to help Stafford. I don't think that's the best pick to help your football team win a Super Bowl. And that's the number one way to put asses in the seats and draw revenue.
Exactly.
Win a title.
I was going to say, I don't know why they haven't figured out yet. It's not so much about how entertaining it is. It's all about W's. If you put a winning product out there, that stadium will be filled to capacity.
It still is, though.
People will be killing each other to get in there. And you can raise the ticket prices as much as you want. You could have the 5th most expensive ticket out there if you just put a winning product out there. Detroit Lions fans will pay for it. I mean, honestly, you're putting a crap product out there year after year after year, and they're still paying for it. So imagine if you actually won something.
I can't believe that there's still talk and thought that even though the Lions ticket prices are at the lower end of pricing in the NFL, that they could justify raising ticket prices and saying that, well, it's allowed us to get dietitians, more advanced this, more advanced that, and that'll help us on the field. You see how smart he was? Try to wiggle that in there.
Rod Wood's an idiot.
No.
I'm gonna tell you. I mean, he might be good with the numbers. He's a horrible people person, and the way he explained that, you just made that organization look. All they care about is the bottom line.
So for those who don't understand,
it's just dollar bills, man.
What are we talking about?
Rod Wood came out at the annual Lions presser where they sit there and they meet with ticket holders and explain to them that higher ticket prices are coming down the line here. It's not going to just be this year. It's going to be next year. It's going to be over the course of, I believe it was the next 3 to 5 years. Ticket prices will be going up every year. And the reason for this is because it allows them to put a new weight room in for the players. It allows them to bring a dietitian in. It allows them to do certain things to make this football team more competitive.
Oh, no!
Yeah, exactly.
So
Thank you,
basically,
Dan Miller.
hi, I'm Rod Wood. I'd like you to reach in your pocket and donate to the cause, baby.
And
The ushers will come down and take your donations now early for the postseason. Please put your $150 deposit in the coffers, and we'll get it back to you 3 months later if we don't make the postseason.
Yeah, what can I do for you, Rod? You just tell me, what can I do for you?
It's a very personal, very important thing. Hell, it's a family motto.
Are you ready, Jerry?
I'm ready.
Just want to make sure you're ready, brother.
Here it is. Show me the money. Who's your motherfucker, Jerry? You my motherfucker! What you gonna do, Jerry? Give me the money!
The worst part is they sit there and they bring up this number that they're, I believe, the 24th cheapest seat in all of the NFL. Well, that's great. You've been one of the league's worst teams over the course of, 3 decades? So you start winning, then you can boost ticket prices, and we'll have no problem paying it. Until then, you deserve to be at the bottom because you don't win anything.
Damn, at least wait till the start of the season to, ask for money. My God, he waited. He didn't waste no time.
No.
He's like, we're raising the prices, and we're 24th. We want to be at least, 15th, 16th. Hell, really, in all honesty,
Be a
the Lions
competitive team, bro.
should be 30th. They should be, really one of 1 or 2 or 3 teams that are not expansion to never make it to the Super Bowl.
The only teams that have been worse than them over the last, I think, 5 decades, which is 50 years, is the Oakland Raiders and the Cleveland Browns. And that's it. So when you're comparing yourself to these guys, and in that time span, the Raiders have won Super Bowls. We've never even played for a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So how are you going to talk about raising prices?
Yeah, I just want to have some conversations with season ticket holders who have endured ticket prices. And most people don't just buy one, they buy 2 or 3 or 4.
Yep.
So if you're raising it that much, you're looking at roughly between $500 and $1,000 more every year, and then another increase. So imagine, cuz if this team gets good, we might be seeing the end of affordable tickets. I mean, we got.
You know what, though?
I've
Here's
got
the
free
deal.
tickets that are $25 high. That's the lowest.
Yeah.
Those ticket price could be probably $50 to $75.
That's fine. Here's the deal. If you're going to give me a Patriots-like product where you're winning Super Bowls,
Yeah, of course, you'll
that's
pay.
fine. I have no problem paying money for that. You know, you deserve it. You're sitting there and you're providing me with entertainment, and you're providing me with Super Bowl caliber talent on this field.
You can
I
argue
don't mind
it.
it.
You
Yeah,
can argue it.
it's fine. It's totally acceptable. But when you're giving me, Cleveland Brown-esque talent in seasons, I don't want that. I'm not going to pay for that. In Detroit Lions fans, you shouldn't pay for that.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. From where I started being a season ticket holder to where it ended, and we barely saw, I really believe I saw less than 10 wins in like 6-7 years at home. So I couldn't do it. And that's why I said, to talk to a season ticket holder, what is it that is drawing you to go watch the game live 8 to 10 times a year when you can sit at home, nice comforts of your TV. TVs are out there now, are amazing. You can invest in, you and your boys could all invest in a man's cave for the money that you're going to pay. Each of you kick in some money. All of you kick in for the DirecTV ticket if you have it, like you, cuz, and you could have a great old time for the price that you pay. But I don't see it. I don't know why people would continue to go down there when I know at least they at least recognize that the Ford Field needs better Wi-Fi. That's good, but that should have happened first.
Right.
Take care of that. You need, you're going to ask for more money, and the Wi-Fi is still horrible there. Come on now, it's terrible,
Dude. I honestly, I don't know. I don't know what the Lions are ever thinking. And the thing is, the fans they go, man.
They get the shaft,
They
basically.
pay for it, and it's honestly, it's like allowing yourself to
be taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Openly.
Yeah. I was going to use a different word.
Yeah.
That starts with an R and ends with an E. But yeah, you're allowing yourself to have that done to you every single time. So
and it's only going to get worse. Imagine what the prices are going to be if they become a winning team. Oh my goodness, the money that is flowing. But, it's the NFL. It's the cash cow. Nothing is breaking it. Lies about concussions, lies about this, lies about that. Not spending money in certain areas. Nothing is denting the NFL, it's just rolling along, making a bunch of money, and they're trying their best to expand and do what they got to do. That's just the NFL. But
you've got idiots with great hair like Mel Kiper saying that Laquan Treadwell will be a good fit in Detroit. His words, not mine.
Oh boy, no way, Jose. All right, so this week, what do we have to look forward to? We got the Wings and Pistons playoff pushes. We got the Tigers. We get to watch. Lots to look at for the next week. What should we be closely paying attention to prior to the next podcast?
Enjoy opening day. That'll be going on Friday. Otherwise, you've got your Wings and you've got your Pistons who are sitting there battling it out for playoff position. Again, by the time opening day rolls around, both those teams may be locked into their seed for the playoffs. It could happen just that quickly. If it doesn't, you're going to want to watch those games leading up to the playoff push here. I believe both teams get in. I think the Wings have a great shot to take on the number 2 seed in the Atlantic. I think the Pistons have a shot at the 7th seed in their conference as well. Otherwise, enjoy the Tigers. Enjoy the Tigers. Again, this is one of the greatest times of the year, April in the D, right? You've got your draft right around the corner for the NFL. You've got the Tigers opening their season. You've got the Red Wings and you've got the Pistons both in playoff contention. So enjoy April in the D.
Yes, sir. For the Jock, Adam Strozinski, I am the Doc, John Macaroon, Detroit Sports Podcast, our show, number 139. Thank you for downloading it. We greatly appreciate it.
And you can't teach that. Bada boom, realest guys in the room. How you doing?
Go Wings, go Pistons.
And all I can say is Detroit Sports Podcast scores.
I hear voices in my head. They counsel me. They understand. They talk to me. They talk to me. They tell me things that I will do. They show me things I'll do.